Blockbuster. Wow. Just saying that name probably takes a lot of you back, right? It's like a time machine. It brings back memories of Friday nights, browsing those endless aisles, the pure excitement of bringing home a movie. It was this cultural giant. And now, it's basically a ghost. So the big question is, how on earth did that happen? Let's dive right into the incredible story of how this massive empire just vanished.
Oh man, that experience, it was everything, wasn't it? That hunt for the last copy of a new release, the smell of popcorn, that iconic blue and yellow ticket stub. You know, Blockbuster wasn't just a store. It was a ritual. It was the center of home entertainment for a whole generation.
And this wasn't just, a local thing. At its absolute peak, Blockbuster was a global behemoth. We're talking more than 9,000 stores worldwide. Just let that sink in for a second. That scale is insane. They were everywhere, on street corners, in basically every town. They just seemed totally unstoppable. So that's the billion-dollar question, right? How does a company that literally defined an industry with millions of loyal customers and all those stores just get wiped off the map? Well, it's a heck of a story. It's about innovation, yeah, but also about arrogance and one massive, fatal mistake.
Okay, so to really get the fall, you gotta appreciate the rise. Before Blockbuster came along, what did you have? These little, kinda disorganized video stores. Maybe even a little seedy, right? Blockbuster completely changed that. They didn't just tweak the model, they totally professionalized it. They created this reliable, super family-friendly experience that just became the go-to for millions.
So the first store opens up back in '85, and bam, it's an instant hit. All through the early '90s, they just exploded. I mean, they were opening new stores at a pace that was just breathtaking. And it all leads up to 1994, when this media titan, Viacom, sees what's happening and just has to have them. They bought them. The future couldn't have looked brighter.
And their formula for success? It was actually pretty simple, but totally revolutionary for the time. First, they had huge selections, so you could always find something to watch. Second, they used a computerized system to keep track of everything, which, back then, was super high-tech. And maybe most importantly, they made the stores bright and clean. It turned renting a movie into a real family event.
And all that brilliance, well, it had a massive price tag. Viacom paid a staggering $8.4 billion for Blockbuster in 1994. Just let that number sink in. This wasn't just some successful company. We're talking about one of the most valuable entertainment brands on the entire planet, an invincible titan.
But you know how these stories go? That feeling of being invincible, it can be an illusion. And this is where we get to the critical turning point in the story. A single meeting, a single decision. This is where a little bit of hubris set them on a course for absolute disaster.
Okay, picture this. The year is 2000. A couple of entrepreneurs, one of them Reed Hastings. They walk into Blockbuster's headquarters. Their company is this tiny little startup you've probably never heard of called Netflix. They have an offer. They want to partner up, run Blockbuster's online business. Or, if that's not interesting, they'll just sell the whole company to them.
And the price? Get this, just $50 million. $50 million. Now remember that $8.4 billion number from just a few years before? For a giant like Blockbuster, $50 million was basically pocket change, a teeny tiny investment to buy the company that would become their mortal enemy.
So what did Blockbuster do? Well, their response pretty much tells you everything you need to know about their mindset. They didn't just say no. The story goes they basically laughed them out of the room. They just couldn't see what was coming. To them, this little DVD by mail thing was a total joke. They were so sure their thousands of stores were unbeatable and would last forever.
But that rejection, it didn't kill Netflix. Nope, it fueled them. So while Blockbuster was sitting back, all confident in its old-school model, Netflix was quietly building something new from the ground up, something that was going to completely change the rules of the game.
And when you look at the two models side by side, the difference is just night and day. Blockbuster, stuck with expensive physical stores, limited selection. Netflix, all online with a library that felt endless. But the real killer app, the thing that changed everything, was late fees. Blockbuster's whole business model depended on them. And Netflix, their whole brand was built on one simple promise: absolutely no late fees. Ever.
Say, Netflix was playing chess while Blockbuster was playing checkers. They started with the whole DVD by mail thing, which was brilliant. It got people hooked on the convenience and the huge selection. But that was just phase one. The real masterstroke? Introducing online streaming. That gave people what they really wanted: instant access to whatever they wanted to watch, whenever, wherever.
So, as Netflix is rising, guess what's happening to Blockbuster? They're starting to fall. And the reason for their collapse, you can trace it right back to that one thing everyone absolutely hated, the one thing Netflix got rid of. Yep, the dreaded late fee.
And I mean, just look at how dependent they were on this. Late fees weren't just some minor annoyance for customers. For Blockbuster, this was a core part of their revenue, bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. They were financially trapped by the very thing their customers despised.
So for customers, the choice became a no-brainer. Why would you deal with driving to the store, the hassle, the punishing fees, when you could get a way bigger selection delivered right to your door with zero penalties for one flat fee a month? People started switching, and it happened fast, really fast.
And the speed of the collapse, it was just staggering. In 2010, this company that was worth over $8 billion, files for bankruptcy. The next few years are just a death spiral, stores closing everywhere. And by 2014, those iconic blue and yellow signs, they were pretty much gone.
But the story doesn't quite end there. In this really strange kind of nostalgic twist, the brand that once had over 9,000 stores, it's not totally extinct. There is one last holdout.
That's right. In the entire world, just one Blockbuster store is still open. It's in Bend, Oregon, and it's become this sort of accidental monument to a time that's long gone. It's a true survivor, like a living fossil from a whole different era of entertainment.
And it's not really just a video store anymore. It's become a legit tourist attraction. People travel from all over the world just to walk down those aisles, take photos, and, show their kids what Friday night used to look like. It's basically a living museum, a final, tangible reminder of the world before streaming took over. So, what's the big lesson in all of this? It's a powerful one, and it's timeless. It doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how untouchable you seem. If you can't see the future coming, or worse, if you refuse to adapt, you risk becoming a relic. Blockbuster ignored the internet. Netflix was the internet. And that right there changed absolutely everything.
And that leaves us with one last kind of fascinating question. Just think about it. Look around at the giants of our world today, the companies that seem just as invincible as Blockbuster did back then. Which one of them is maybe ignoring the next big thing? What's the Blockbuster that we all rely on today that could be just a memory tomorrow?